lava bang. All the Muslim cars now, which I bag it up. Light up my card with a sweet one, please. Someone flips me a bag it up. So, another one. It's another one, yeah. It's a full run, yeah. Oh, it's another one. It's another one, yeah.
What's going on, people? Welcome back to another episode of the STAYWEIGHEDIN show, presented to you by iBoxingHub in association with our sponsors, D-Rock Clothing, iBoxingHub 24. Get yourself 40% off. It's been a while, but we're back. Ray, how you doing, man?
Yeah, man, doing all right. Thank you, man. This Olympic season, pound for pound season, and we're going to speak on it, but one of the main guys, he came through, and it was a good performance, but reality set in. But yeah, how are you though?
Not too bad. I don't know if you can see behind me, the walls are a bit bare. The housework is getting done. Summer's here, so my mum was like, let's strip the wallpapers and run it back one more time. So yeah, we're working with that in the background. But let's go straight into it then. Like you said, Terence Crawford makes a jump up to 154, beats Israel Madrimov.
Really?
Yeah, the cough just came. Israel Madrimov beats him. Unanimous decision. Probably was not the most convincing performance people outside of knowledge of boxing thought. I want to get your thoughts just initially. Like, what did you make of Crawford's performance?
Father time. I think no, it's a combination of things. I think moving up in weight. This is more of a natural weight class, as in you can tell always like you don't have to cut down weight. You're fighting near your normal body weight. Unfortunately, the pop that you have at welterweight may not have carried over into 154. But it was a tough fight. But I think more credit needs to also be, given to Madrimov, where obviously because he's not the commercially known guy, I think people just expecting Terence to steamroll him. And Madrimov showed like, no, this is why I became a world champion at, what is he, 10-0?
Yeah.
Madrimov showed a lot of his quality, and my goodness, he put in a performance. But Terence Crawford, in the end, got to the championship rounds, and he showed that competitive edge that when he needed to win those belts, the same way I think we've spoken about Usyk in the past, where he knows has to up that gear when it's called upon him. Terence Crawford is also of that same cloth that championship rounds came, and he just made sure I am winning these rounds. And a lot of people had it 5-5 going into that. And Terence Crawford went in there and he made it 7-5.
I was going to say two of the scorecards had it 115, 113. So literally a round in it before we could have got a majority draw. Do you think Madrimov might feel a bit hard done that maybe one of the judges didn't give it his way? I know Eddie was a bit frustrated with the scorecards, shouted it out on Twitter, saying it's a bit of a disgrace. Do you think he can feel a little bit hard done that one of the judges didn't give it in his way?
Yes and no. I think obviously it was a case of like, it was close, but then I haven't watched it back. But a lot of people have said they watched it back and it's just like Terence Crawford's done just enough. But then it was so close that it's like it could have gone either way. But there's a lot of people that are also on the side of Terence Crawford done enough in a lot of the rounds that he just won it. But I think because it's almost like he's getting punished for not making it look as easy as everyone expected it to be, which is stupid. Because he didn't make it look easy. So all of a sudden now it's like you didn't win it. It's like, no, if it's a tough fight, it's a tough fight. But a tough fight doesn't always mean that the person won. It just means that it was harder than anticipated. He just made the error look human.
I was going to say, we've seen guys like Benavidez move up. David Morrell also had a very averagey performance as well. Bud Crawford has moved up as well. Is this like kind of showcasing to people that, look, no matter what they are at the previous weight, when you do move up, don't think that naturally they're just going to make that transition that quickly. And then also, like we've seen with Usyk as well, he moved up from cruiser to heavyweight. had a struggling first fight against Chisora, because when you speak to Usyk, or when he says in interview, he always says Chisora was my hardest fight at heavyweight. That first transitional fight, is it just showing to us now that look, it's not meant to be as easy as people think it is?
I think, yeah, for sure. I think it was sometimes it's just adapting to the weight class, and also people have to take this into consideration. What if that is going to be his hardest fight at the weight class, and he just got out of the way now? That might.
I think
It might be
Fundora
a hardest fight at
personally,
the weight class. What do you say? Sorry.
I think Fundora personally will be the hardest fight. Because we'll talk about Spence, but I just personally believe if that fight gets made, because if he wants to run the undisputed route, I don't think he can beat him. But yeah, sorry, carry on.
Yeah, I think that's just where we're going with it. Where it's like, all right, cool. Fundora is still a weird one because Fundora, who did he get beat by again?
I'll have to double check.
I
You
forgot.
put me on the
For
spot.
wherever his advantages are, Fundora's also in a case where it's like, excuse me, he's got great boxing. He's got great frame, but his boxing ability still hasn't caught up. But then I'm also this is where it's getting scary now. Crawford is still getting older, and no matter how much he has that competitive, etc. Father time waits for no man, and at this point, I'm looking at Crawford like, one, I believe 154 is his ceiling in regards to weight, and two, I don't want him to be in the sport for too long. I don't want the sport to retire him, and I know that he's in a position where he can walk away now, but I still want him to be able to make some history at maybe 154, maybe go for Undisputed, and then leave. I don't know what else is left for him though at this point.
I was going to say, you said, obviously, kind of got onto my next point, because this is my thing. People are fantasy booking this Canelo fight, and I think we're already seeing that.
Here we go.
Realistically, and it's fine. Like it's not me saying Terence Crawford is a bad fighter.
Yeah,
Canelo
there's
significant
weight classes
better.
for a reason. Let's get out there.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, and at the end of the day, I think it was Sean Porter that was saying it. He probably walks at 168, whereas we know Canelo probably hits 180 plus when
he
he's
might
walking.
even walk under 168. The way
Yeah.
that he was looking yesterday, he might not even walk at 168.
So the realistic chance of this fight happening is unlikely. Now it's there financially, and it's there from the commercial side, and it's there to bring in people who may not necessarily watch boxing on a weekly basis, monthly basis, whatever you want to say. But if that fight gets happen, outside of all the glitz and glamour about it, it's a very pointless fight for me. Like, Canelo Alvarez gets absolutely nothing out of beating Bud Crawford. Bud Crawford
He gets 9
personally,
out of 8 in Balanga, but we're here. But sorry, go on.
yeah, listen, we're fighting in our division. That's beside the point. But Bud Crawford, for example, he gets the opportunity to fight him and has the opportunity to arguably get the greatest victory that we'll get in this generation of boxing, in my opinion, if he was to beat Canelo. But it won't happen. And then you'll have some people you'll have the casual look at Bud Crawford and think, hey, he couldn't really beat the best guy and stuff like that, etc. Devalues him. So my only thing to you is, if he's going to make this undisputed fight, I think Fundora holds 2 of the belts. From the top of my head, I can't remember who holds the other belt. In terms of father time, like you said, in terms of how often he fights as well, how likely is it that he gets that? Because personally, I don't think he does.
What, in terms of from Fundora or from Canelo?
The undisputed route, because I don't think that Canelo fight gets made.
I think maybe I'm just being optimist. I think it's possible, and that's only because Fundora's been starched before, and it wasn't too long ago. It's different if it's just like, Fundora got starched years ago and is a different Fundora, then fair enough. But I still feel like what Crawford showed yesterday, when he had to win the rounds, he's got that dog in him where it's just like, if he needs to pull this out, he can. Whereas Fundora, I think someone who's got that type of mentality and ability that Crawford has, it's going to be scary going up against someone like that, because then it's like, what does Fandora do when someone's got ability and the mentality and you've shown to be susceptible to certain things? And we don't know if you've learned yet.
Yeah.
And obviously he's got the potential match with Errol Spence, which
I'm actually kind of worried for Spence in that fight.
yeah,
If I'm honest, I think Spence is at that point where his next loss will be retirement, whether that's a potential fight against Crawford, which I want. I want that to be the dream fight for both guys. But I don't think that transition to 154, whether he gets a tune-up fight, is different. If you go straight into a title
that's
fight,
what's scary about Spence, is that his mentality is so elite that he doesn't like
yeah,
taking tune-up fights. But for his own good, you need a tune-up fight, like he does,
and I think he'll
and not in a
retire.
way of like. I think he sees it as, if I'm the guy, I'm supposed to go in there, and I hear it. At the same time, you've been through a lot, and you need to test your body at 154. Please, for the
But
love of
also at the
something.
same time, both guys aren't young. They're not spring chickens, both Crawford and Spence. So again, I always come to that point, because these guys are so inactive. Like, Spence hasn't fought since the loss to Crawford. Crawford's is his first fight since beating Spence. They don't really have the most amount of time. They don't really push themselves to be as active, and I don't think that's on them as much as it is the promotional side of things as well.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna say definitely in regards to Crawford, that's more on, he had the legal situation rather than it was a case of
Him
he's not
wanting to fight.
willing to fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He shut down. This is what I was going to say. He shut down Errol Spence in the post-fight press conference.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, shutting him down is one thing, but if that check comes in front of you, if that contract's there, do you think he probably signs it? Because I'll just put this out there. I think that's the most lucrative, realistic fight he can make.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think he signs it?
I think I don't know who can bring that amount of money to Crawford outside of Turkey. I don't think PBC have the money to do what they done last year. So then, and I also understand from Crawford's point of view, it's kind of like, Team Errol just wasted a year of my life through this stupid contract that I was in with them. I don't want to do business with them. Or it might even not be with Spence. It might be, I don't want to do business with Al because you have shown that you're incompetent. So I think that's where the frustration from Crawford, when they were bringing out the rematch, and Crawford was just like, no. It's kind of just like, I'm not dealing with them anymore. If he has belts, then, money can talk. But I think until Errol Spence gets those belts, don't think about that match happening.
I want to just go over some of the rest of the card, because there were some great fights. There were some awkward moments. We'll go on the awkward ones soon. But I think for me, Turkey's guy, Jared Anderson versus Martin Bakoli, and Bakoli smoked Anderson. Like, when I tell you, this was 5 rounds of just a meticulous beatdown. Like, when you look at Bakoli now, let's go Anderson, because obviously he's the younger fighter. Like, where does he go from here? Because this was a big opportunity to showcase to a lot of guys who may not necessarily know who you are as well. So, like, where do you think he can go in that American heavyweight sphere and stuff, and just globally as well?
Listen, man, my thing with Bakoli was like, he was a hidden secret to a lot of people that were, and to the point that people started laughing, saying, Bakoli's not the guy that people think he is, yada, yada, yada. Or they didn't believe some of the stories that they were hearing about him. And yesterday is like, excuse me. Yesterday was a key example of, if you don't hear, you will feel. Shout out Congo. But man, Bakoli went in there, put a shellacking on him. He absolutely beat the brakes off Anderson. And America's, as soon as, people are starting to come at peace with Deontay Wilder not being the guy no more. Bokoli said, you ain't gonna have no heavyweight prospects right now. The only person that they had, they were talking of like, I think talking about Anderson being up to Dubois and everything. The beating that Bokoli gave Anderson, oh my, I felt so bad
Do you
for
know what's
Anderson.
crazy? We've killed him. Well, not killed him. We've criticized him in the past
Yeah.
and everything. Like, what can he do? Ben Shalom on these cards across the board when he's in there, he's up. Tyler Denny up against Felix Cash. He comes to LA. Boxer, I have a card. He's like, no, I've got this guy. I need to go push him here. Gets another win. Like, Ben Shalom is up right now. Like, he's having the time of his life with Turkey and cross promotions. He's probably thinking, why did I not do this beforehand?
Listen, you see, what's his name? You see, Boxer, the way they've managed to sneak in,
Yeah,
is amazing. In addition to the fact that I do not know how they done it, but because now I remember they got Boatsy as well, and now they got Bokoli. And do you know who needs to be stayed away from Bokoli? That's not even good at grammar, but do you know who needs to stay away from Bokoli? Daniel Dubois. Because I think Daniel Dubois
they're
will
gonna
try
make
get
it.
Daniel Dubois will try get into a firefight with Bokoli, and Bokoli will hurt him. And I only think there's a few fighters that can really hurt. The star that Bokoli fights with, there's only a few fighters that can actually hurt Bokoli to make him like. You saw a lot of people yesterday were like likening his style to George Foreman, where it's just like he would just take certain licks, he would just get out of the way of certain punches at the right time, and then he would make sure to hit you with 2 or 3. And Anderson's face, like there's so many like slow replays where he will get countered like with 2 or 3, and it was just like
It was painful.
flush every time. Like it was actual destruction of him. And I hope that Anderson's saying he doesn't really dedicate his life to boxing. Well, here's a reality check. You either dedicate properly or I don't know, leave the sport now before you get hurt again. Because that is a defining fight where you may not be the same again after that.
Do you know who I'm putting out there? Petition to get him out of the sport of boxing. Andy Ruiz. Get that snicker muncher out of there.
Did I not say?
He's horrendous.
Did I not
Miller,
wait? I don't know whether it's you or someone else. I've been saying for time. Why do people keep on thinking Ruiz? This is the same guy that
it's
got
definitely
dropped by
not me.
Areola.
Yeah, it's definitely not me. You know me. I don't like Andy Ruiz like that. I give him
I
credit for
was just
taking advantage of the win against AJ, but he didn't really do anything from there. And yesterday he had 4 rounds. How he escaped with a draw, a lot of people, including myself, were kind of surprised by it. But I also understood it because certain rounds when nothing was happening, and if he's banked in 4 rounds, that people were saying, I kind of get it a little bit. But yeah, I think for me, like I look at him, he came in, this is the heaviest he came in, I think, or second heaviest he's ever come in a fight as well. So like, there was no gas tank, nothing about him whatsoever. So yeah, like I'm just done with
sports
Andy
here
Ruiz.
where you can afford to let your foot off the gas a bit. And those are team sports. And even then, it's still hard. You still have to be on point to keep up with your team. Boxing is so lonely and so brutal that if you take your foot off the gas in terms of like your upkeep when you're not in camp, this is what happens. This is a good example of like the sport will leave you by the same way. I remember when Conor versus Dustin 2 happened, and I remember Conor came back, and then Dustin beat him by a KO. And I remember at the time Conor was talking about, those calf kicks, man. I just didn't know what to do with them. I was like, yo, the sport passed you by. When you got comfortable and you thought, you was training at the same way you were training before, you haven't updated you haven't done the software update to your phone.
Yeah.
Andy Ruiz is still going
The
off
iPhone's overheating and you can't do
that's what
nothing
I'm
about
saying.
it.
Andy Ruiz out here is still going off of a 2019 update. Like, brother, the sport has passed you by, and the fact that you let someone like Jarrell Baby Miller, yeah, no disrespect to Jarrell, but he's not exactly, he's not even you can't even call him a gatekeeper because he was on gatekeeping duties and he lost to Dubois. But Baby Miller was basically put in there for his last payday, and he was there to make you look good on your comeback. So the fact that you lost that is kind of just like, I don't know if there's any more shine to Andy Ruiz's name. You're always gonna be. He's a Buster Douglas, basically. You are Buster Douglas. You got AJ out of there on that fight. Well done to you. But after that one win, you messed up.
Do you
And
know
whether
what?
you can say PBC messed him up, I don't know. But
Nah, he messed. Do you know what? I'll be honest with you. And this is not gonna me sound like an arse or anything like that. But Andy Ruiz, when he beat AJ, fully deserved all the accolades, whatever. But you could just tell, when certain people achieve more than they were meant to achieve
yeah,
anyway. It's like, yo, the
he
celebrity
wasn't prepped
that's
for success.
crazy. Yeah, he wasn't. And it's fine. It's not in a bad way. It's not in a bad way. I'm just saying the celebrity
Being
lifestyle.
successful is hard, and
Yeah.
this is why I always give props to AJ because I said, listen, it's one thing to get some success, is another thing to stay there. And because people see all the riches and everything, they just presume that, like, you just have to just carry on like as usual. It's like, no, the mental fortitude to stay the guy is a whole nother ball game. The mental fortitude to defend your titles when you're not you're not hunting no more, you're the hunted, and everyone's got footage on you, and you have to reinvent yourself again and again. It is hard.
Do you know what? I've said this to every single person that I speak to. If I was a professional athlete, I would probably be the worst professional athlete you'd see. If you give me, let's just talk football. I
Yeah.
got one of them nice 5-year deals, whatever millions in the bank. You ain't see me. I can be on the bench. I don't care. I do
Yeah.
not care. I'm good financially. I'm good. But I won't be at the same time because you know what I'm gonna do? I will probably burn that money unless I have a team around me that tells me what to do and not yes men. And unfortunately, I kind of think that with Andrew Ruiz, I'm not gonna say he's gonna go broke. I'm not wishing that. I'm just saying
Mm.
I don't know what he's like in terms of the celebrity style. Obviously, got him, which is calm, which is fine. But I want to talk about celebrities. Look, we see cards that happen all over the world, but Turkey doing this card in LA, everybody showed out. Like I saw Scottie Pippen was there. Who else was there? There was everybody that was there, and I was just like, do you think LA could potentially be a boxing hub going forward?
No,
No.
it was disingenuine. I
Okay.
understand. Do you know what it is? It's almost like, and we've discussed this before about how Turkey is a big wrestling fan. We can tell he's a big wrestling fan.
Mm.
LA, unless it's an LA boxer, it's not going to be the hub of anything because it has not been. Turkey's
Okay,
going
let me
into
let me rephrase it.
Turkey. No, no, no. What I will say is
Okay.
this. I want you to rephrase it still, but
Yeah.
Turkey's going into this realm of he thinks he can just throw money at something and it will just change. Where some things is like stuff like culture.
Yeah.
You cannot always just throw money and change culture, heritage, whatever you want to call it. You cannot just make LA some hub or like bringing Bud to LA after a year of him not even competing. That fight should have been in Omaha. That's where that fight should have been at.
That would have hit the celebrity rates for a Riyadh season card.
But at the
That's
end of the
what, if
day,
you think about it, that's what Riyadh season is. It's glitz, it's glamour, it's
you've
bringing
got
out
to build
everybody.
it though. You can't just keep this. On my whole point. The reason why Eddie Hearn is good for this is because Eddie Hearn has built the glitz and glamour of a matchroom show. So it's easier for him to host glitz and glamour because he's built that. You can't always compare it to in football where everyone thinks that because you got money, because a manager comes into money and a great team that he's going to win. It's like, no, because you got to be a manager that knows how to use money. You got to be a manager that knows how to control egos. You got to be a manager that knows quality. Like we were just talking about Gareth Southgate the other day. This guy comes from the school of Middlesbrough. The heck does he know about good attacking quality? The same way with Turkey is like, there's markets out there that haven't been built, and because you throw money at it, it's not going to just be built in a day. So I just feel like the LA thing was just.
I think this is what, for me anyway, I understand it. My whole kind of feel was, depending on how this goes, because at the end of the day, this was at a stadium as well. Yeah, it was. So you've got
Yeah,
that. Obviously,
crazy.
people look at, when it comes to America, we want to fight in Vegas and New York. In terms of just America, then depending on how many other shows they do under that banner, it might be that destination. The only problem is, again, like you said, because it's LA. Same with Miami. I always look at LA and Miami similar. There's always something else that's happening in Miami or something in LA for people to be interested in. The only thing is, again, when you have Bud Crawford in there, it's going to get people to come in, and it's going to be
I
the
don't
glitz and glamour.
know.
I think it
I
will
think
be.
they missed the boat. There was a time when straight after the fight, Bud was going into that celebrity stratosphere where he was doing a lot of interviews, on a lot of shows, he was doing media press run. And I think he lost momentum because of the whole like Errol Spence situation. So it needed to be built up again. And this goes back into people being promoted. It goes back to why we praised Eddie Hearn for like how he's handling Jerome Boots Ennis. It's like, why would you put Jerome Boots Ennis in a situation where you just send him to Vegas when
Do you know
you can
why?
build his
Father
following
time.
in
Father
Philadelphia?
time.
Yeah, but
Father time.
Father Time, my thing is this, then you're
And
better off doing that fight in Vegas then. You're better off doing that fight in Vegas than you was doing in LA. Because for me, LA was just like, you tried to do glitz and glamour and it just came across inauthentic. And at the end of the day, if it was in Vegas, the celebs were going to come out regardless. It didn't need to be in LA. It just felt flat in there because you don't have real boxing fans in there. You got people that are just turning up. And the one thing that people complain about Riyadh season is that the atmosphere in there isn't as genuine. Because do you really have genuine boxing fans, or do you just have fans that are basically coming to an influencer
But this is
event?
the thing. This is the thing. So I'll say this. I think every different area has its own, not culture, but the way the fans interact. Like if you look at Saudi, it's a lot more quieter. And I think the boxing fan base is growing there. But again, at the end of the day, the cameras would always show the celebrities, the boxers. LA's Tinseltown at the end of the day. So the focus will always be on the only place where you get the atmosphere is always going to be in the UK because we bloody have Sweet Caroline and they'll play that when they need that atmosphere and everyone's going to sing. Been there, seen it at the start of the show. The fact that we had it in the UFC at the start means that's the song to play out. But I'm not against him trying out new markets. The one thing I will say is, go on, sorry, you were going to go in?
No, I think it's the trying new markets isn't the issue. It's how you're doing it.
Okay.
It's just how inauthentic it feels. Because I get people say, "Oh, the UK thing is more about Sweet Caroline," which I agree and disagree with. Because even though it's a different crowd as well, when the UFC goes to Abu Dhabi or to the Middle East, the UFC still gets a good reaction out there because you can tell. Excuse me.
Oh.
You can tell the UFC have garnered a genuine fan base in the Middle East. So that when those fans go to UFC events, yes, it's not alcohol infused fans that you get in the Western world, but you still get a certain reaction out of people at the Middle East events, at UFC events, because that culture has been garnered over time. That's my whole thing. Is the culture of it. You cannot just throw money at culture because then it depends. Do you want to do something for the look, or do you want to do it because?
Look, I think he's a boxing fan, but you need the look to go with it, which is why we had the Eminem concert.
And it's
I didn't mind it.
No
I'll
one
be
ain't
honest
trying
with
to
you.
hear Eminem in
I didn't mind
2024.
it. I didn't mind it. I'll be honest with you. I didn't mind it. I didn't mind it.
Yeah.
The fact that we
Remember
got
how
a bit of
do
Cinderella
you know what it
man and
reminds me of?
everything.
Remember how we used to complain about those long PBC cards back in the day when Mayweather used
Yeah,
to
but
fight?
this is what we got here. But this is the difference is there's a little bit of
Egypt.
filler in there. But there was too much. Do you know what there was? There was too much Sean Porter for me.
Way too much filler. What's that thing? When Wiley said, "Take it back"? That's what we
Yeah.
need. We need to find a way to insert
There,
memes.
there was.
That's what it needed.
I
We
think.
needed Wiley to say, "Take it back." We don't need to listen to
Do you
Eminem
want to
do a
know the
concert
biggest
in
filler? I'm gonna just do
2024.
it because we need to wrap up it because my battery's dying and
Yeah,
I don't have my charge. The biggest filler for me was His Excellency Turkey Al Sheikh getting an honorary induction into the Nevada Hall of Fame boxing. Don't know where this random presentation came from. They had Oscar
listen,
De La
man.
Hoya come out, Roberto Durant was there, I believe. Eddie Hearn also
Everyone's trying
came.
to get paid, man.
But
People are trying
the
to get
funniest
paid.
thing, the funniest thing was he did a car giveaway. So it was
What
just
the hell
like
is going on, man?
there was a car giveaway. The best bit about this entire thing was the person that won it. You see, if I win a car, I'm gonna celebrate because I know that's extra
Yeah.
money that I got because I'm selling it. The person that came, they were like, he's an industry plant. They just put him in there and they hit a buzzer and
See what? You
conveniently it
know what I'm
went to
saying,
him.
brother?
There
At
was
least,
no
like,
reaction.
man. As
It
much
cracked
as I
me up.
appreciate what Turkey's doing, someone needs to have a word with him and just like stop this plastic stuff that you're doing. This plastic event, like, if you want to know how to run genuine events, no, I won't. Let me not say that because he knows how to run events. If you want a genuine reaction, a genuine culture, see how, like, for example, even though people were talking down on it before, the same way how Qatar hosted World Cup, and then by the time the World Cup came, people came around, people enjoyed themselves, etc., etc. That was a good, genuine reaction. What you're trying to build now, it just seems inauthentic. And for as much resources as he has, he needs someone in his corner to tell him
I think
this ain't it.
this is the thing what I'll say before we wrap up. I think what he tried to do was Americanize the product. Again, remember, this is the first time, if I'm not wrong, Riyadh season or anything under the Riyadh season ban has gone out of Saudi, if I'm not wrong. So he's probably tried to Americanize the product because they do these weird giveaways. They like to take their time with everything. That's why I'm half interested to see what he does when it comes to the AJ card and how he does that. Because if he starts giving
Nah.
away cars or
What?
£1,000 and stuff like that, if you can hit the punching machine, it's
Listen,
just right.
I
We have a
hope,
leaderboard. We have a leaderboard. Whoever gets the highest, come back afterwards, and you get £1,000 or something like that.
and I'm praying that Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren have enough cachet to just turn back to Turkey and say, listen, this ain't how we do in the UK. Let us handle it and we'll get you your money. Because someone needs to tell him. And he needs to be able to listen. And if he wants the most out of his money back, he needs to be able to listen to those that have been there and done it and say, okay, I'm going to give you guys the finance to do what you need to do it, and be a bit hands off. Because, yeah, all that throwing money at stuff is nice, but that can't solve all the problems if you're trying to garner genuine. Like the same way, see Tank fights. Tank has fought in DC, Tank has fought in LA, Tank has fought in wherever Tank goes. He's garnered a genuine culture around him to make it a big event. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's a reason why celebs come out to Tank fights. He's got that aura about him. Whereas it's not that Terence Crawford doesn't have aura, but they're two different characters. You got to build it in two different ways. Like, you can't just be like, here's some money, build it like what Tank has. It's like, no, Tank's, whether through marketing, whether through the opponents he's faced, whether it's through just like personality and culture, there's a reason why his fights bring the big time events that it does. You can't just throw money at that. As simple as it sounds, you can't. You have to
I
build
hear it.
something with it. Money can't just buy everything.
All I'm gonna say before we wrap up is, I don't know which one of the two it is, but get ready for a Noel or Liam Gallagher concert. That's
If
all I'm
that
gonna say.
happens, if that,
That's
I'm
all I'm
locking
saying
off.
because I'm pretty confident we're gonna get one of the. I don't know
I
which one
will
it is.
switch off the TV and I'll listen to Jamiroquai. How about that one?
You know, where do I go with that? But I'm pretty confident we're gonna get one of the two performing at Wembley.
There's rice at home, man. Let Eddie and Frank do what they need to do, man.
The thing is, aren't they both from Manchester? If I'm not wrong.
Let Eddie and Frank.
I'm telling you, we're getting a concert. And it's going to be one of them too. I'm telling
Has he
you.
not learned that people do not want to see these concerts?
You're gonna
No, you know that. Okay, that yeah. You know what? I'm lying. I'm looking.
That's what I mean.
I'm doing. He might, but please time it right. Or if he's gonna do that, let that be one and only song. We don't need a medley.
Oh no, we're gonna get a medley like the Eminem one. I think we're gonna get about 5 songs. I would say about.
See what I mean? This is what I mean about taking it too far. All you need is that one song, and that's it. That one song does it.
We've seen how they do it. It's normally just before the actual main event.
Get one thing straight. I was up late yesterday. I watched SummerSlam. No, I watched some of the UFC. Then I went into SummerSlam. Halfway through SummerSlam, I said, you know what? I'm tired. Let me go get some sleep. I randomly wake up at 6:30. I go to check my phone to just see the result of the fight. Then I go to check the results and I see that it's still playing.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe I'm still playing. The fight's still going on. I couldn't believe it. Well, I said, this is way
that's
too...
what I mean.
Even Americans are probably thinking, yo, wrap it up now. We're tired. And that's not the reason why when people are talking about that lackluster feeling, that's why, because they're probably...
It's because it was on the West Coast, so it's not dark on the West Coast. It was
but
medium light.
But that's what I'm saying. Even for Americans, they must be thinking, yo, this is too late. Like, it is too, like, brother, let us sleep.
Can I be honest with you?
Go on.
I don't care what Americans think. Because whatever you think about late being for you, it's still later for us.
No.
We can take it, you can take it.
It's not even that. Pause.
I know, I hear what your point is.
It's the fact that if it's late for them, then it's going to be late for all of us. So it's not a case of, don't get me wrong, I'm with you with the listen. If we have to suffer, you can suffer too. But then when it gets to the point that even the market, the same way we complained last week about the market you're attending to, when the market you're attending to is suffering, brother, it's too much. Relax.
I think, again, I'll say it probably because it was on the West Coast, 3-hour difference type of thing. But listen, we're going to quickly wrap up. As always, like, share, subscribe. You know the vibes. We're back. We're going to be a lot more consistent now. Obviously, the house is still being done, so we can work around that. The entire week. We got a great schedule as always. More boxing fights coming up. But let us know your comments about the first Riyad season show in LA. Did you like it? Did you not? Until next time, like, share, subscribe as always. Until next time, stay waiting.
It's another bang. All the Muslim cars now, whichever get up. I start my scars with a sweet one, please. Someone flicks me a bag, so it's another one.